And here's what I was thinking about. Hearing this quote from Dak Prescott, hearing the previous quote we just played from Dak Prescott, and discussing the one from at the start of training camp when he said, I may play for somebody different in 2025. Floating that possibility out there. So much, and this is what has driven me absolutely bonkers, as not only as a Dak fan, but as a fan of objectivity, and being able to understand how we cover other quarterbacks relative to how we cover Dak. Well, he's the Cowboys quarterback. Okay, are we judging him by his play or by his celebrity status? Like, let's get that in mind. It's the fact that whenever folks criticize Dak, so often, or I should say actually very little, do you hear actual substantive, okay, what's he working with? We do that with other quarterbacks. How many times last year? And I get it's Pat Mahomes. He's the second greatest quarterback of all time. Get that. But oftentimes last year, listen, I stood firm on my Kansas City winning the Super Bowl pick, but it was, man, Mahomes is amazing. But gosh, those receivers for the Chiefs, and Kelsey's getting older, and Valdez-Scantling can't catch a pass, and Tony's awful. And we give quarterbacks, and by the way, I think by and large, rightfully so, we kind of give them passes. We talked in years past, a lot of folks about the Chargers this year, like, man, we like the Chargers, but darn it, Herbert doesn't have a number one guy. Like, they're good by committee, but they just don't have that true number one receiver for the Chargers. We give a lot of excuses to a lot of quarterbacks. That seems to go by the wayside with Dak Prescott. Can you consider the fact, just be open if you're a Dak skeptic or a full-blown Dak hater? Could you at least sit down for a moment, or if you're in a car, keep driving, and just have an open mind to another possibility, and ask yourself this question about last season and about this season. Do the Cowboys have a good offensive roster? And by good, I mean not only top half of the league, but comfortably, top 10 in the NFL. Little CeeDee Lamb is nothing short of fantastic. We know that to be the case. But after that, it's I wrote it down because honestly, with all due respect, I was going to forget some of these guys' names. How about Jalen Tolbert? Brandon Cooks coming off his worst season since he was a rookie. Jalen Brooks. And then Ryan Flournoy, who I'm not going to be hard on that kid. He was a 6th-round pick. He hasn't played in the NFL yet. We don't know what he is. But that's what Dak's got to work with. Oh, and by the way, how about his running game? How about Ezekiel Elliott, who's old and beat up? How about Dalvin Cook, who's going to be on his 4th team in 2 years? How about Rico Dowdle, who actually I think Rico Dowdle may end up being the best player for the Cowboys in the backfield, but he's still Rico Dowdle. How about the offensive line? The fact that Pro Football Focus has it as barely average. They have it as the 15th best offensive line in the NFL. The fact that Zach Martin's awesome and Tyler Smith's fantastic, but they just lost their starting center, Tyler Biadasz, to the Commanders, and they, for reasons I cannot comprehend, let one of the greatest offensive tackles of this generation, Tyron Smith, just walk to the New York Jets. So the O-line undeniably got worse. The backfield wasn't good to begin with. Respect to Tony Pollard, but the backfield wasn't that good a year ago. And the wide receiving core, this is why it was critical for them to sign CeeDee Lamb, because without him, they're awful at that position. Ask yourself this question. Dak have a great coach? Because many of the same people that criticize Dak are the same people say, why was McCarthy fired after that Packers loss? McCarthy, he's a lame duck coach. He's entering the season on the hot seat. He's probably in the hottest seat in the NFL. Him and Nick Sirianni and Mike McCarthy. By the way, I like McCarthy as an average coach in the NFL. I don't think he's as bad as some folks say, but I don't think he's great. I don't think he's Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Sean Payton. I don't think he's those guys. Ben Johnson, if you want to look at offensive coordinators for the Detroit Lions. Oh, yeah. Speaking of offensive coordinators, seemed like I remember a time in which between 2021 and 2022, Dak Prescott had objectively, one of the worst offensive coordinators in professional football, Kellen Moore. How do I know that? Well, A, the tape says that he's uncreative and resorts to curl routes on 3rd down and long. But aside from that, if we're just going to go by results, it's funny. The worst season of Dak Prescott's career came with Kellen Moore. And then Kellen Moore leaves, goes to the Chargers, goes to Justin Herbert, who I love, by the way. And Justin Herbert has the worst season of his career. It's why, not to spoil my predictions on the Philadelphia Eagles, don't know if I love him this season. Like Jalen Hurts, don't like him at all if he's with Kellen Moore. Where Kellen Moore goes, quarterback play declines. And Dak Prescott took that offense to number 1 both years, or the last 2 years that he was with Kellen Moore. So I think we should acknowledge across the board, Dak's never had a great coach. Dak's never had a great offensive coordinator. Matter of fact, his last one before McCarthy's the de facto OC, was bad. Kellen Moore's a bad OC, point blank. Also consider the fact that just so much of the logic surrounding the Dak criticism is so flawed, is that we put a microscope on Dak Prescott that we simply don't put for others, even some that many folks consider as better than Dak Prescott. Dak's a better, look at the numbers, look it up, Google it. Dak's a better playoff quarterback than Lamar Jackson. If the criticism, Dak doesn't perform in the regular season, well, a guy who always performs in the regular season, similar to Dak, Lamar Jackson, even more so than Dak, got 2 league MVPs. You would think, especially being with a well-run franchise in the Ravens with a great coach, John Harbaugh, we would hold Lamar Jackson to a higher regard than Dak. And we should, by the way. I think Lamar's better than Dak. But Dak's been better in the postseason. He's got just as many wins in the playoffs as Lamar, more pass yards per game, better touchdown-interception ratio. That does exist. Justin Herbert, who most consider to be better than Dak, again, love Herbert, but it's at least noteworthy that Herbert's been in the playoffs 1 time in 4 years, and in that playoff game against Trevor Lawrence, who most people don't even think is good, I'm not one of them, had a 27-0 lead, blew it. Yeah, the defense screwed up. Yeah, the Chargers didn't run the football, but they spot you a 27-zip lead, 4 turnovers in the first half off Trevor Lawrence, and you can't get the job done? That's not noteworthy? So when we go up and down this list of the great quarterbacks, guys, I acknowledge some better than Dak, some I have Dak over, are outstanding. We do not give Dak the pass. We give those guys when they make comparable money and have comparable regular season accomplishments to Dak. Some of which, in the case of Lamar, with more around him in terms of organizational stability, great coaching. So this is what drives me absolutely insane. I think it's kind of driven Dak to his breaking point. Not about the criticism about him. Dak could give a dang about the criticism in the media, but about the fact that he plays for an owner and general manager who has countless times been looking to kick Dak to the side, absent contract negotiation. Let's take out the negotiation period that came before Dak's first big deal. Let's take out this negotiation period. Let's act like they never happened. When Dak Prescott was lighting the league on fire as a rookie in 2016, Jason Garrett backed Dak. The locker room backed Dak. The fan base backed Dak. Everybody backed. Tony Romo himself backed Dak Prescott, except for Jerry Jones. Time and time again. Well, Tony's ready to go. Tony's. I remember Dak had a bad, after leading the Cowboys to 11 straight wins that year. He has a bad game in New York against the Giants. By the way, last time he lost to the Giants, it's been 8 years. And Jerry was openly floating the possibility, hey, Romo, pretty good. Even more insulting, because Romo was a dang good quarterback. Not just outstanding. He wasn't like Brady or anything. Romo, I think, was a top 10 guy most of his career. You know who isn't? Cooper Rush. And in 2022, Dak Prescott, after leading the Cowboys to the number 1 offense in 2021, gets hurt first game of 2022. Cooper Rush comes in, and to his credit, did his job, did what was asked. Didn't turn the football over. They played very safe, very conservative football. They ran the ball well. O-line played excellent, and the defense was amazing those first few games of that season. Cooper Rush did his job. And Jerry Jones goes to the media. Hey, quarterback controversy in Dallas. You never know. I think let's say Dak's in Kansas City and it's not Mahomes. You think the Hunt family's doing that? Think Bob Kraft's doing that? You think what's his name in Los Angeles? Forgetting the guys. Stan Kroenke's doing that. You think the Maras are doing that? You think any of these guys are floating out the possibility? Oh yeah, the backup who we have to shrink the playbook significantly for him to be successful. We may replace the starter with him. So, look, I said this weeks ago when Dak first kind of made his I'm standing on it against Jerry Jones. This is refreshing as a guy in myself who's backed Dak for a long time who has all but begged him to leave Dallas since 2020. And Dak knows that there are better options out there. And again, I will stand on it now, and I think I'll be proven correct on this in March. Dak Prescott will be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Russell Wilson, not the long-term answer. Justin Fields, darn sure, in the long-term answer. And the Steelers won't be bad enough to pick in the top 5. A Carson Beck, a Shedeur Sanders, something like that, Quinn Ewers. Dak Prescott's going to be available on the open market. And you're telling me Dak, who has had nothing but chaos, instability, and dysfunction around him for almost a decade. In Pittsburgh, it literally is the exact opposite. Great coaching, outstanding roster, a front office that's willing to be aggressive and spend big if they think they have a shot to win, and an ownership in the Rooneys. They let the GM's GM, the coaches coach, and the players play. What a concept. Hey, the words of LeBron James when it comes to Dak Prescott coming out against Jerry Jones.
It's about damn time. It's about damn time.
Yeah, it is. It's again, at least if you are a Dak skeptic, at least be open to the possibility that a lot of the shortcomings that he's had in Dallas. And by the way, all stats provided by StatMuse, all the graphics provided by my guy, Alfred Parsar Jr. Could we at least throw this out that Dak almost won league MVP last year? Last season, first in touchdown passes, second in TD and interception ratio, first in completion percentage, third in pass yards, second in passer rating, second in QBR. Yeah, let's let that guy hit the open market. While we continuously go cheap, bungle contract negotiations, and refuse to hire a coach that will challenge Jerry or strip Jerry of some of his executive power. Listen, I saw what Dak said, and two things. Man, this is a straight up beef now. This is a beef now between Dak and Jerry. They were always had an icy relationship. It's a beef now. And second of all, he's leaving. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.